Greetings everyone. So, surprisingly enough, even though it may be shocking that this is still the case, considering some of the things we see going on within this institution, the Church of England's teaching on sexuality is very similar to the teaching of the Catholic Church. When it comes to marriage, for the moment, the Church of England still teaches that it's between a man and a woman. When it comes to sex, the Church of England still teaches that it's between a man and a woman. And the reason for that is because it can only take place within a marriage. The Church of England still teaches. And since marriage can only be between a man and a woman, sex can only take place between a man and a woman. I think there are a couple of reasons why this is still the teaching of the Church of England. Although, as I'm about to explain, and as you may already know, they are working hard to change it. But for the moment, it remains as it is because, one, I think there are too many older evangelicals in the Anglican Church who are very much against any changes to this teaching. And two, the Anglican Church in Asia and Africa, particularly in Africa, I think, but maybe in Asia as well, is also very much against any changes to this teaching. So the teaching at the moment remains as it is, even though it's hanging on for dear life, like the belt around a very obese person, just clinging and just about still on, but it's expected to come undone any time now. And the groundwork is being laid, the foundation is being laid to get rid of this teaching or these teachings, to change these teachings. And it's a very strange church at the moment because while these teachings are still in place on marriage and human sexuality, there are clearly numerous clergy within the Anglican Church who are flouting these teachings. They are ignoring them. There are openly gay clergy who are openly in relationships with people of the same sex, and the hierarchy of the Church of England knows this, and despite having a teaching that is against this, they sort of wash their hands of it. Or they say, look, the teaching is that you aren't to have any sexual relationship if you are in a relationship with somebody of the same sex. And there's no way we can check that without wandering into people's homes and going into their bedrooms. So people can be in a relationship with someone of the same sex as long as it isn't sexual. And we're hoping that that's the case here. There's no way we can check it. Of course, it's ludicrous because they know that these relationships are sexual. These couples are living together. Both members of the couple have same-sex attraction. They're clearly in a relationship together. But the assumption is that nothing is going on when they are in their own homes. Nothing is happening at all. It would be like somebody coming into a church with a box of popcorn and you tell them, hey, you can't come in here with that box of popcorn. And they go, oh, okay. And then they just walk in, sit in one of the pews and start eating the popcorn. And you react with, ah, okay. Well, anyway, let's get ready for the mass, shall we? No, you would go up to that person and say, I just told you you can't bring popcorn into this church. So please go back outside and leave it there or finish it there and then you can come back in without the popcorn. But in the Anglican Church, what's happening is they are literally seeing the person walk in with the popcorn after they've been told they can't and just not doing anything about it. So let me read you a little bit of this article from Reuters about the latest development that has taken place in the Church of England. The Church of England's governing body voted on Tuesday to do away with requiring those who want to become clergy to agree to a 1991 document on sexuality, saying some of the assumptions in the paper now appeared prejudicial and offensive. The document, titled Issues in Human Sexuality, described homosexual practice as especially dishonourable and called on homosexual Christians to lead a life of abstinence. And later on in the article it says The 48-page document states that homophile orientation and its expression in sexual activity do not constitute a parallel and alternative form of human sexuality as the heterosexual. So this was seen as outrageously archaic and outdated by most of the members of the Church of England, because a motion was presented during the C of E Synod a couple of days ago to get rid of this document. And I'll actually post a link to this document in the description below if you want to actually take a look at it, because this article is just mentioning a couple of things that are stated in it, probably the most important things. But there are lots of other things in there. There's stuff about how bisexualism is wrong, etc. So do have a read if you want to, and decide for yourself if you think the document is as offensive as the Church of England now has deemed it. But the motion was proposed to get rid of it, and the motion was voted for overwhelmingly. In fact, it was difficult to see anyone there that didn't vote for the motion to get rid of it. There may have been a few, you may notice them, but it was done by a show of hands because there was such a big difference. If it was close, then they would have gone to an actual official count and people would have used their keypads to vote. But if it's very obvious in the room that there is a vast majority, then they don't bother with that. And that's what happened here, as you can see in this video.
Those in favour, please show with green ticks on Zoom. Thank you. Those against? Thank you. That is carried. Synod, that concludes this item.
It was interesting actually watching some of the people who were standing to give their opinion on this document, talking about how, as I said earlier, it was outdated, archaic. This was written in 1991. I was around in 1991. Only just, I was very, very young, but I was around. Most of my audience, I assume, were around, and quite a few of them probably were already adults. And yet this document written by bishops in 1991 is outdated already. And again, as I say, the document will be in the description below the video. Have a look at it and then make up your own mind if you think it's outdated or not. One of the members of the Synod talked about how the bishops then meant well, but they just didn't know any better. Well, thankfully now we know better, huh? Those people back in 1991, they had no idea about sexuality. Now we know how many different genders there are. Now we know how many different sexualities there are. Now we know you can be whatever it is you want to be, whatever you identify as. Now we know what a woman is, or not.
A woman can have a penis.
Nick, I don't think we can conduct this debate with, you know...
Sorry, have I offended you in some way?
No, it's just...
A woman can have a penis.
I don't think that discussing this issue in this way helps.
Here's Paul Waddle, who proposed the motion. He's a member of the laity. And here he is giving what I think is a very dishonest argument for scrapping this document.
It's important that we know what this is and what it isn't, and what's on the table and what isn't. Progressive friends like you, I want to change the canon so that we get equal marriage. But that's not part of this motion. Conservative friends, unlike you, I want to change the canon so we get equal marriage. But that's not part of this motion. Progressive friends, I want people in same-sex marriages to be able to stand for ordination. But it's not on the table. And conservative friends, exactly the same. It's just not on the table today. So try not to worry about it.
So as you can see, he's basically convincing the members of the conservative side of the synod that no canons are being changed here. No actual teachings of the Church of England are being changed here. It's simply getting rid of a document that is offensive in the language that it uses to LGBTQ people. So he's saying, look, getting rid of this thing isn't going to change anything. And he admits himself, as you can see, he is for equal marriage. He's very much a progressive. But he's saying whether you're a progressive or whether you're a conservative, there isn't actually anything being changed in the teaching of the church. So don't worry, they're just trying to get rid of this document from 1991 that's a little bit offensive in the way that it's written. But it's a dishonest argument, because what getting rid of this document is doing is that it's already changing the culture, changing the way people think about sexuality. As I said earlier, it's laying the groundwork, the framework, the foundation to make later changes. much like the blessings of same-sex relationships being permissible now in the C of E. It's the foundation for much greater change in this area. And what's interesting is that when it came to the voting in regards to whether same-sex relationships should or should not be blessed in the Church of England, while among the bishops there was a clear majority in favour of blessing same-sex relationships, among the clergy and laity the votes were much closer. And so it was interesting to see in this vote that simply a show of hands was needed to pass the motion to get rid of this document on sexuality, because that would mean almost nobody voted against getting rid of this document. And that would mean that a number of the people who voted against the ability to bless same-sex relationships voted for getting rid of this document. So this argument by Paul Waddell convinced them. It convinced them that there was no issue with getting rid of this document, that it wasn't going to change anything in the church, in the Anglican Church, in regards to the teaching on sexuality. They didn't realise that actually it probably wasn't a great idea to get rid of this document if they are against any changes to teachings on sexuality, and they were convinced that getting rid of it won't make any difference, and that perhaps it was worded in an offensive way. And that's why, as I said, almost nobody in that synod, among which there were probably quite a lot of conservatives, voted for keeping this document. So Mr. Waddell's argument worked, that no canons were harmed in the proposal of this motion or in the making of this motion, and the document has been scrapped and deemed outdated by the Synod in the C of E. So there you have it. Another step towards changing the teachings on sexuality. It's very likely that at some point in future the teachings will change a lot more. Things like permitting the blessings of same-sex relationships and now getting rid of a document that clearly outlines that a homosexual relationship or lifestyle isn't on the same level as a heterosexual relationship or lifestyle. I'm curious to know what you think. When do you think the overhaul, the complete overhaul, is going to happen in the C of E? And I think we'll know when the overhaul is complete when the teaching on marriage is changed. Once it's decided that marriage is something that can be between two men or two women, then that will be the final nail. That will mean that the teaching is completely flipped, and now if people of the same sex can get married, they can obviously have sex within that marriage, and that will be job done. When do you think that'll happen? Because I'm assuming you agree with me that it's going to happen. Unless, of course, you think it won't and it will somehow be stopped, and of course do let me know. But if you do think it's going to happen like me, when do you think it will be? How long do you give it before this change happens? Do let me know in the comment section, folks. And let me know in general what you think about this whole Synod vote to scrap this document from 1991, referred to as issues by people in the Synod. I look forward to reading your comments. Thanks very much for watching the video. Have a blessed day.